Barcelona have confirmed that they are in contact with Lionel Messi with regards to a return to the club. Here's Rafael Yuste, the Barcelona vice president, talking about it. He said, "I'm still gutted he couldn't continue here. Of course, I would like him to come back because of what he represents on a sporting, social and economic level." We are in contact with Messi's camp. Yes, beautiful story should have happy endings, and there is a mutual love between the two parties. Well, Gemma Soler is joining us now to talk more about it. This story is not going away, and it would appear, Gemma, that a Messi return is closer.
Hola, Kay. Yes, can a last dance be possible? We'll see, but it's true that it was a very exciting morning earlier today in Barcelona, because it's the first time that Barcelona publicly is open to explain that they are working on that possibility, and they are contacts. I will say this, that the contacts are between the president Joan Laporta and his agent and father, Jorge Messi, not directly to the player. And yes, there are contacts with Xavi Hernandez and Lionel Messi. They have always been. They are good friends from when they played together, and they kept on the relation, and they talk quite often. Is it possible? Yes, it's possible, even though it's extremely difficult. Why? Because of the economic complicated situation of Barcelona. There is the chance of taking some extra levers that they were already approved by the members, and they will have to sell, because they need to get rid of a lot of payrolls in the club. So I'm talking about possible sales of players with a good market outside, like Christensen, Kessie, Ansu Fati, Ferran, Eric Garcia. So yes, this is, and the biggest chance they have is because Messi, and especially his family, they miss living in Barcelona and Castelldefels, and the environment that they have here in Barcelona. So if you ask me, will this be happening? If you asked me a month ago, I would say like a 5%. Now I will say about 20-25%. It's possible, but it's very difficult.
So, OK, so that's talking about the budgetary side of things. But it would appear, hearing all this, that it isn't just talk to please the fans, and that there does seem to be a genuine desire from both parties for this to happen.
But let's look at it from a football parlance on the field. Barcelona are going to win the La Liga this year, right? In all probability. They've had two of the best youngsters in Europe, in Gavi and Pedri. If Messi comes back, and there's a big if, and plays, what does it mean for one of those guys? You know, how does that work? You know, we know Busquets can't keep going on, but none of those two that I mentioned plus Messi are a holding midfielder. So, you know, it's all very well coming back, but you've got these new young players that have come through, and obviously, you know, we're coming through when Messi was there. Pedri had been through. But what does it mean on a week-to-week basis, picking a team for some of those young players that have been successful, for a guy who ultimately has probably got a couple of years left at most? So there are, never mind the finances, there are football implications as well to him coming back, is there not?
Aye. You know, can you imagine a young Messi and all of a sudden they decided to bring Ronaldinho back, who was past his best? Can you imagine that? And not only is Craig talking about Pedri and Gavi, he's going to have to change the whole way he plays. So you're going to change the whole way you play for a guy who's past his best, albeit it's Messi. I would think that the one person in all this who probably hasn't said anything, who does not want this to happen, will be Xavi. Because I'll tell you what, if Messi's under pressure coming back, Xavi's going to be under even more.
Has there been talk about this, Gemma, in Barcelona, as if he is to come back, what it would mean for a player that does have a starting position right now?
Well, if we have to believe what Xavi always says in public when he is asked, he says that he, of course, wants the best players, and that he always said that he would love a Messi's comeback. And if you analyze that, the way he changed the system, now that he's playing with the four midfielders, and you can imagine a Messi, as you were mentioning, not at his best, but still very talented, one of the best players on on the goals, even though he's 35. He could play a little bit more back, as we remember Messi in the previous years in Barcelona. And for example, now with this Xavi system, when Pedri is not in the field, there is a miss of that kind of magic, a player that is able to break the lines and assist and has that kind of talent. I can imagine Messi being there. The other thing is, what role is Messi expecting here, playing the 50 games per season? If he accepts a role where he might not play absolutely all the games, and this means that having chances for Pedri, for Gavi, it could be an option. It's true that if you think in Barcelona's future, maybe it's not the most wise option, because you might cut the career of young talents. And the other thing is, would he fit with Lewandowski, that has a long contract? With Dembélé, they didn't have the best. I don't know if relation, but not on the field. There were some issues with some of the players, other players as well. Ter Stegen with Xavi, they always had a very special relationship, and I don't think that would be a problem if the roles that I am the manager, I'm no longer your colleague, and if I decide to sit you have to accept it. If this is pre-talked, I don't think there would be a problem.
Well, let's hear from Xavi on it, because obviously this has been talked about for quite a while right now, and as Gemma said, we've heard a few things that Xavi's had to say about it. He says, we're friends, we speak often, but it's not the moment to talk about this for the good of Leo, the club, or the squad. It's an issue we're dealing with, but from that to him returning is a big leap. I hope we'll see him come home. I'm the first person who would love to see the best player ever return, and it is normal that fans are excited about a last dance like Michael Jordan. Does Xavi have to walk a fine line here with what he does say about this situation in case it is to go ahead and happen?
Well, yeah.
He just danced around it there, right?
He does. And he has got those players that we talked about to protect, who may be asking some questions if things are looking close. But this is all pie in the sky stuff, really, from Barcelona. I get it. You know, we've all admired Lionel Messi. Not many haven't. But this club has had so many problems. It's still facing them, but on the field it's getting out of it. It's starting to get back somewhere near its best. Bit to go. But surely to God, it has to keep looking forward to the future and not to look back to this historical love-in that was great but has gone. I just feel it's like looking back the way rather than looking forward with what's good. No?
Same for you?
Absolutely. Yeah. I actually find it hard to believe that many people think this is a good idea. And I'm not so sure that Laporte's just trying to keep some people happy or saying the right thing for the fans. Because does he really believe it?
What's your instinct, Gemma, on Messi being back at the club this summer, if you were to put a number on it?
I agree that there are interest in this being... I mean, you guys called me today and asked me about this and not about Negreira. So there is an interest of this. It's better to talk about this than the other scandals and complicated situations Barcelona is facing. Also, for this board of members, at least trying to pretend to do everything they can to bring Messi back. It's a way to restore that thing that they did so wrong, because when he was a candidate, Laporta said, don't worry, I'm going to renew Messi in a barbecue, and then it wasn't possible. So they have to try. They need to keep fans excited, to have some faith, because the reality is that they are not able to register Gavi yet. They haven't been able to offer Alejandro Balde renewal, and they also talk about Gundogan, Iñigo Martinez. So it's kind of a strange situation, but it's a debate. And I think in the other part as well, Messi or the people who manages his career, it's okay to put some pressure on PSG, and that we all today and the next days we all talk about this possibility.
All right, well, you can see Barcelona in action this weekend. They will be taking on Elche. I think you're doing the coverage for that game, aren't you, Craig?
I'm always here when the mighty Elche are playing.
Yes, he is.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.